he's a big, dad and husband, and lots of ladies are always like, when is Leo gonna play that role in real life?
Right. I never really talk about that stuff.
It doesn't interest you at all?
No, I just never talk about those things.
At 51, Leonardo DiCaprio stands at a crossroads where fame and tragedy collide. His career, filled with triumphs and setbacks, is a tale of longing and perseverance. For years, the Oscar eluded him, despite performances that defined an era. But behind the accolades and public persona lies a man shaped by far more than just Hollywood's glitz. What happens when the world celebrates you, yet something darker persists beneath the surface? Join us as we delve into the real tragedy of DiCaprio's journey, one that's far beyond the silver screen. The Oscar curse begins. For over 2 decades, Leonardo DiCaprio carried a peculiar burden, a relentless pattern of Oscar nominations followed by crushing rejection. Despite being one of the most acclaimed actors of his generation, with performances that critics called brilliant and audiences adored, the Academy Awards repeatedly overlooked him. 5 nominations over 22 years without a single win turned into a cultural phenomenon, a curse that haunted his career as much as any role ever could. What began as quiet disappointment gradually morphed into a public spectacle, with memes and jokes eclipsing his vast filmography. Leonardo was no stranger to acclaim, but the golden statue remained elusive, always just out of reach. Each nomination raised hopes, only to leave him empty-handed, deepening the mystery of why such a gifted actor was repeatedly passed over. It wasn't just frustrating. It became a question of fairness and recognition. Was it bad luck, industry politics, typecasting, or something more complex? The pattern sparked conversations about celebrity, merit, and the pressures of Hollywood validation. During these years, DiCaprio's name became synonymous not only with excellence, but with a curious form of absence. He won awards everywhere else: the Golden Globes, BAFTAs, critics' circles, but the Oscars were the ultimate prize that eluded him. This absence bred speculation and sympathy, but also an unsettling kind of scrutiny. Fans and critics alike wondered how one of the biggest stars on the planet could be denied the one accolade he visibly longed for. Behind the scenes, this ongoing snub affected Leonardo profoundly. Though he often smiled and accepted losses gracefully in public, the emotional toll was clear. He poured himself into roles with increasing intensity, as if each performance might finally shatter the curse. Yet, time and time again, rejection whispered the same message. Recognition was not guaranteed, no matter how much he sacrificed for his craft. The unseeable burden established itself as a key element that defined Leonardo's life path. This force determined his choices and his abilities and the intense dedication he demonstrated throughout his disruptive profession. The Oscar curse created a dual challenge, which presented both his artistic vision and the industry's work to understand him as an artist. The work created a dark effect that obscured his extensive artistic achievements. The public created a meme culture from ongoing snubs, which combined dark humor with actual feelings of disappointment. Online, images of DiCaprio reaching for the elusive statue circulated endlessly, making him a symbol not just of great talent, but of Hollywood's seeming injustice. The shared interest from the group raised the limits, which transformed his private need for recognition into a common public discussion about celebrity status and public failures. Multiple explanations emerged to understand the snubs, but none produced clear solutions. Did his youthfully pretty face obscure the depth behind his performances? His initial achievements in teenage romantic movies created obstacles that prevented him from establishing himself as a serious actor. The Academy faced difficulties because it needed to manage his high fan base together with his great acting skills, which normally attracted award voters. The actual reason for his situation remained hidden, which increased the sadness about how people failed to see his value. The existing pattern established a primary inquiry that asked people to consider the effects of validation denial, which occurs when a person possesses talent. Leonardo's story was no longer just about lost Oscars. It had become a reflection on the price of waiting for recognition that might never arrive. The entire situation drove him to pursue his next life chapter and his professional journey through his intense need for achievement. Before uncovering what finally broke the curse, we must look back at where it all began. At the gritty streets of East Hollywood, a mother's determination and a boy shaped by hardship who vowed to never let rejection define him. Humble beginnings and early struggles. Leonardo DiCaprio's story starts far from the glitz of Hollywood premieres and red carpets. Growing up near the gritty intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue in the 1970s and 80s, his childhood was shaped by hardship and survival, not stardom and glamour. East Hollywood was a war zone of harsh realities, substance deals, violence, and poverty, where a young Leo watched every struggle unfold from a small apartment. His mother, Moline, a single parent who fled Germany and juggled multiple jobs, became his fiercest protector and guide through that unforgiving world. Moline's sacrifices were enormous. She took Leonardo on grueling 3-bus journeys across Los Angeles to auditions, often walking miles when money ran short, sitting tirelessly in crowded waiting rooms filled with other hopeful families. Her unwavering belief was the bedrock of Leonardo's early life. He later called her his hero, recognizing that without her relentless drive, his path could have been very different. This love forged his resilience and refusal to give up. The relationship between his father, George DiCaprio, and his son, Leonardo, developed through remote but significant connections, which brought George DiCaprio's son, Leonardo, into his first artistic education. George introduced his son, Leonardo, to creative methods, which became essential for his future work in performance art. Because their relationship remained broken through long periods of time without contact. The young Leo discovered through his early experiences that life outside their home environment operated according to its own set of rules, which people needed to understand better in order to succeed. The school environment brought special difficulties. The school labeled Leonardo as a troublemaker because he was both intelligent and unable to sit still. The way he dressed and what he ate made him different from everyone else. Teachers recognized his abilities, yet they found him disruptive, while students found him to be a different person. The first time he faced these situations taught him that life brings both unfairness and unexpected events, which require people to battle for their right to a better life. At 10 years old, he understood that people who do not prepare themselves will never receive chances because they stay passive. The outside world required people to adopt an aggressive attitude, which showed their desire to win and achieve their goals. Leonardo chose to create defiance from his experiences of rejection because that defiance burned inside him as a result of his repeated experiences with deprivation. His determination to succeed grew stronger with each door that refused to open for him. Leonardo began his work in the harsh audition process at age 12 after receiving only his mother's faith and his own determination. He experienced 3 types of struggles when he visited auditioning locations, which included waiting with other aspiring actors, facing brief audition sessions with directors who rejected him, and receiving multiple rejections that said the same thing to him. He continued his pursuit of opportunities after 3 years because he accumulated rejection experiences, which he considered to be success markers. His first small breaks came through his work in commercials and television shows, and his small parts in programs like Parenthood and Santa Barbara. The work paid his expenses, but it did not fulfill his need for artistic satisfaction. Leonardo achieved employment, but he was not yet successful according to his expectations. He experienced a career deadlock because he became known as the cute kid on TV, which made him afraid of being either permanently typecast or overlooked by casting directors. The observation of his mother's enduring strength taught Leonardo about his most important lesson, because he found that rejection serves as the entry fee to succeed in a challenging industry. The experience did not lead to his downfall because he managed to stay alive. And with this mindset, the hungry years of relentless effort and quiet resilience pressed onward, setting the stage for an eventual breakthrough that would announce his arrival as a serious actor. Breaking through with dramatic roles. After years of navigating television's confines, Leonardo sought roles that would challenge him and reveal his depth. His breakthrough came in 1993 when he was cast opposite Robert De Niro in This Boy's Life. At 18, playing the troubled Tobias Wolff, Leonardo faced profound self-doubt stepping up to act alongside one of the greatest actors, yet rose to the occasion. The cameras captured a performance imbued with the pain of his own childhood, his fears, and his simmering rage, a transformation that garnered critical acclaim and attention. The film's success signaled that Leonardo was more than just a TV kid. He was emerging as a serious actor capable of carrying weighty roles. Yet Hollywood's doors didn't immediately open wide. Offers trickled in cautiously, with industry gatekeepers hesitant to fully embrace the young actor's potential. He was still fighting assumptions and limited perceptions. Shortly after, his role in What's Eating Gilbert Grape as Arnie, a teenager with developmental disabilities, cemented his reputation as a transformative actor. Completely disappearing into the character, Leonardo delivered a performance that stunned critics and audiences alike. The New York Times called it a revelation, while Rolling Stone praised the level of commitment that went beyond acting. It was becoming the character itself. At 19, this role earned Leonardo his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, a watershed moment recognizing his artistry on Hollywood's biggest stage. Though he did not win, the nomination was a signal that he was no longer a question mark, but a contender. Still, the pace of true mainstream acceptance was slow, with cautious offers and continued typecasting. The mid-1990s saw Leonardo embrace a wild mix of projects, including Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet, which propelled him to teen idol status worldwide. While this increased his fame dramatically, it also brought the suffocating label of poster boy that threatened to overshadow his dramatic ambitions. The balance between popularity and artistic respect became a precarious tightrope. Leonardo openly admitted feeling trapped between fame and craft. Though grateful for his success, he feared being boxed in by his image. This fear drove a restless energy, pushing him to audition relentlessly for film roles that mattered, roles that challenged him and defied the cute television kid stereotype. Despite growing acclaim, the industry often hesitated to cast him in the mature, intense parts he craved. He continued to fight through perceptions and the long shadow of youth and popularity. But with each role, Leonardo refined his craft, slowly building a sturdy foundation for a career grounded in serious acting. The shadow of the Titanic was looming ahead, bringing both unprecedented fame and profound challenges that would test Leonardo's resilience in ways few could imagine. The Titanic phenomenon and its cost. In 1997, Leonardo DiCaprio's world changed overnight with the release of Titanic, a film that would become one of the highest-grossing movies of all time, mesmerizing audiences worldwide. He stepped onto the global stage as Jack Dawson, the star-crossed lover at the bow of the ship, and instantly became a household name. The film's staggering box office results and 11 Academy Awards cemented Titanic as a cultural phenomenon, but for Leonardo, it was a double-edged sword. The praise and fame came with a hidden price. The iconic line, "I'm the king of the world," became less a celebration and more a cruel reminder of the prison he had entered. Suddenly, Leonardo was not just an actor, but an international symbol, relentlessly pursued by paparazzi and fans alike. His privacy vanished. A simple walk outside became a gauntlet of attention. Yet even more damaging was the shift in perception within Hollywood. Casting directors and critics began to see him mainly as the Titanic guy, a pretty face, rather than a serious actor. This new identity created significant professional challenges. Offers poured in, but many were for romantic leads or teen heartthrob roles. The very parts he feared would confine him forever. The industry had typecast him as a poster boy rather than a versatile performer, and the depth behind his performances was overshadowed by his commercial appeal. The balance between box office success and artistic respect seemed impossible to achieve. Leonardo openly described this period as suffocating. Though grateful for the success the Titanic brought, he felt trapped under the weight of his own image. The role that made him a star also became a barrier to the more complex, challenging work he desired. Behind the glitz and glamour lay an actor wrestling with expectations he never sought but could not escape. The industry and critics both failed to recognize his previous achievements. His Academy Award nomination at 19 for What's Eating Gilbert Grape created a public perception that his handsome appearance made his work as an actor less serious. The public saw his abilities as less than his actual skills, which created a gap that Leonardo needed to overcome. The period included multiple professional errors that took place during this time. The Beach and the Man in the Iron Mask films, which he made to display his acting abilities, faced negative reviews from both critics and viewers. His artistic choices resulted from his need to maintain visibility while proving himself, which resulted in additional uncertainties about his capacity to become an important artist. Leonardo recognized that his choices during that period stemmed from his intense fear of everything. He accepted roles because he wanted to show his true abilities, which made him afraid of disappearing into obscurity. The Titanic trap prevented him from escaping because the industry continued to associate him with his original character. He maintained his internal strength, which he developed through his difficult experiences. The need to demonstrate his value, together with his remembrance of past challenges, drove him to continue his progress. He aimed to discover acting opportunities that would allow him to transform his professional path while rediscovering his passion for performance. The shadow cast by Titanic was vast and long-lasting, setting the stage for a critical turning point, one that would come with the arrival of a legendary filmmaker who would challenge and transform Leonardo's career in profound ways. Post-Titanic career challenges. After the whirlwind success of Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio faced an uncertain path marked by professional risks and public scrutiny. The pressure to sustain his stardom collided with his own ambitions for artistic growth, creating a difficult balancing act. The choices he made in the years that followed reflected a young actor wrestling with a turbulent industry and his own desire to be taken seriously beyond his good looks. Many post-Titanic films failed to meet expectations, both commercially and critically. The Man in the Iron Mask was widely viewed as a misguided attempt to showcase range, but ended up disappointing audiences and critics alike. Similarly, The Beach, despite its promising premise and director Danny Boyle's involvement, faltered under the weight of harsh reviews and underwhelming box office returns. These missteps fueled doubts about Leonardo's longevity as a serious actor. Industry insiders whispered that he was a one-hit wonder, propped up by the tsunami success of Titanic and the romantic image that came with it. The young star's struggle to escape that shadow intensified, and he found himself often offered roles that capitalized on his teen idol status, not his acting depth. Leonardo himself later reflected on this era with honesty, admitting that fear guided many of his decisions. Fear of obscurity, of losing relevance, made him accept projects that were far from the challenging roles he genuinely wanted. This period felt like a professional limbo, where visibility came at the cost of artistic fulfillment. The partnership that would create a career transformation for him so he could achieve his highest career potential remained hidden from public view. The director, Martin Scorsese, who created demanding and transformative films, saw beyond the public image problems that Leonardo faced. Their partnership started with the 2002 film Gangs of New York, which showed raw physical combat and gritty realism to push Leonardo into new acting territory away from his previous romantic lead roles. Scorsese introduced Leonardo to his directorial style through an extremely demanding directorial style, which required him to perform under extreme pressure. The director pushed Leonardo through his performance demands, which required him to perform multiple takes without using any attractive elements while showing authentic emotional states. Leonardo referred to the process as an acting transformation, which changed him from an ordinary person into an extraordinary performer. The heavy collaborative work between them brought about a transformation in his public image, which both audiences and critics recognized. The Academy rejected him for a nomination after Gangs of New York showed his excellent acting abilities. The process of redemption had begun to take root. His acting in Catch Me If You Can and The Aviator demonstrated his ability to perform a wider range of roles while showing his dedication to the craft of acting. His performance as Howard Hughes received acclaim because it served as his defining career role. The struggle to escape his box office fame and the emotional turmoil behind it would soon encounter forces that tested Leonardo's endurance like never before, pushing him both physically and mentally in the years ahead. Martin Scorsese and artistic redemption. When Martin Scorsese entered Leonardo DiCaprio's life, the actor was at a crossroads, struggling to break free from the typecasting and disappointment that followed him since Titanic. Their partnership, beginning with Gangs of New York in 2002, marked a turning point, something deeper than just director and actor. Scorsese pushed Leonardo relentlessly, demanding a commitment and depth that tested every ounce of the young star's talent and resolve. It was a baptism by fire that reshaped DiCaprio not just as a celebrity, but as a formidable artist. The role of Amsterdam Vaillant, a vengeful and gritty character, pulled Leonardo away from the polished romantic image he was struggling to shed. Scorsese's direction was exacting, requiring repeated takes and emotional rawness, stripping away any hint of vanity. Leonardo later revealed how this process broke him down before rebuilding him into the actor he aspired to become. The transformation was evident, not just on screen, but in the industry's shifting perception of his capabilities. Critics took notice immediately. Reviews praised how Leonardo shed his teen idol skin, unveiling a complexity and intensity few anticipated. The Los Angeles Times described him as emerging into a formidable dramatic actor, a far cry from the face on bedroom walls and magazine covers. His performance in Gangs of New York proved that he was ready to be taken seriously on Hollywood's biggest stages. Yet, despite critical acclaim, the Academy Awards once again overlooked Leonardo. There was no nomination, not even a whisper of recognition. The snub stung, but it underscored the ongoing disconnect between Leonardo's evolving craft and the industry's willingness to fully embrace him as a serious actor. This seeming indifference only fueled his determination to persevere and prove his worth. The year 2002 saw Leonardo perform the role of Frank Abagnale Jr. in Steven Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can. The actor used this fun and light-hearted character to show his acting abilities, which included his capacity to play charming characters and perform intense character development work. The film achieved both commercial success and critical acclaim, which increased his ability to perform roles beyond his previous work as romantic leads and troubled young men. Leonardo's first major collaboration with Scorsese started with The Aviator, which was released in 2004. He played Howard Hughes, who was an exceptional pilot who experienced mental health challenges because of his need to control his surroundings. This challenging part demanded him to portray a character who exhibited extreme mental states while displaying both intellectual brilliance and emotional weaknesses. Leonardo transformed into Hughes' complete character by displaying every part of his personality through his exceptional performance. The critics regarded his acting performance as the defining work that would establish his entire career. Variety called it the performance of his career, and the New York Times praised the commanding presence Leonardo brought to every frame. This role marked the point when industry experts believed he would win an Oscar because he had experienced multiple Oscar nominations, which ended in rejection. The Academy nominations for Best Actor established a vindication moment because his second nomination occurred more than 10 years after What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which received his first nomination. Leonardo waited for the Oscar to be awarded to him during the event, but Jamie Foxx won the award instead. The loss created a deep emotional impact because it led people to express their grievances about the incident, which had previously generated only silent pity. This moment hardened the narrative of Leonardo's Oscar curse. It was no longer just about lost awards, but a symbol of unfulfilled potential and industry dismissal. The weight of these repeated snubs lingered like a scar, quietly influencing how Leonardo approached his craft and the roles he chose going forward. The Revenant and Oscar triumph. By 2015, Leonardo DiCaprio had become a symbol of both brilliance and frustration in Hollywood, a man at the peak of his powers still desperate for the recognition that eluded him for so long. That year, director Alejandro González Iñárritu offered him a role that would push him beyond anything he had ever done. The Revenant was not just a film, but an ordeal, a story of survival set in the brutal wilderness, shot in harsh natural light and remote locations, demanding extreme physical and emotional sacrifice. Iñárritu famously told Leonardo, "I need you to suffer," and suffer he did. Filming took place in the Canadian Rockies with temperatures plunging to 40 degrees below zero. Leonardo crawled through snow, endured hypothermia scares, and even slept inside the carcass of a dead horse to capture the film's authenticity. He ate raw bison liver, gagging between takes. Crew members quit. Production delayed. Every scene tested his limits. This grueling commitment was an act of desperation, as much as artistry. Leonardo knew this was perhaps his final chance to shatter the curse, to prove once and for all that he was worthy of the highest honor in the industry. The physical toll echoed the emotional weight of decades chasing recognition. Behind the rugged performance was a man bearing scars unseen by the audience. When The Revenant premiered, the response was overwhelming. Critics declared it his most visceral, primal performance yet. Variety praised the film's raw capture of human endurance, while The Hollywood Reporter hailed Leonardo's haunting intensity. Awards followed quickly: Golden Globes, BAFTAs, and the buzz that this was Leonardo's year. Leonardo stayed careful because he had faced multiple disappointments throughout his life. He discovered that hope exists as a delicate thing that leads to future emotional pain. The February 28, 2016 night brought different experiences for people who attended. The audience at the Dolby Theatre reacted with loud applause and emotional tears when Julianne Moore announced the name of Leonardo DiCaprio. After working for 22 years and receiving 5 nominations, Leonardo finally obtained the Golden Statue, which he had desired for so long. He dedicated his acceptance speech to demonstrating his acting skills by using his victory to highlight the worldwide climate change crisis. His closest friends understood that he experienced both joyful moments and intense emotional distress, which he preferred to conceal. The Oscar functioned as a heavy award that provided him emotional relief, yet he felt more than a moment of triumph. Leonardo needed to spend time alone because his public work required him to process his emotional after-effects. The laughter and the memes and the years of rejection created permanent effects that still remain in him. The statue could not eliminate his previous rejections, and it failed to resolve his lifelong question about whether his efforts were worthwhile. The Oscar brought him validation, yet it showed him how victory works, which includes both wins and losses that come with high personal costs. The man behind the iconic figure lost his public curse, but he continues to bear an unnoticeable burden. Leonardo had to face his ongoing struggles, which he developed during his time in East Hollywood and continued through his Hollywood accomplishments. The struggle that defined his life as an artist would continue in unexpected ways, ensuring that Leonardo's story remained as complex and haunting as ever. Activism, personal life, and lingering questions. Leonardo DiCaprio is known not only as an award-winning actor, but also as a passionate environmental activist. In 1998, he founded the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, donating millions to fight climate change and protect ecosystems and endangered species. The foundation has reportedly contributed over $100 million to environmental causes. Through documentaries like The 11th Hour and Before the Flood, he has helped bring climate science to a global audience and has spoken at United Nations summits to push for international action. However, his activism has sparked criticism. Detractors point to his use of private jets, yachts, and luxury properties, arguing that such a lifestyle conflicts with his environmental message. While DiCaprio supports carbon offset programs and renewable energy projects, debate continues over whether high-profile figures have a greater responsibility to align their personal habits with their advocacy. His personal life also draws public attention. DiCaprio has frequently dated younger women, leading to online commentary sometimes referred to as Leo's Law. Supporters argue his relationships are consensual and private, while critics question the pattern and what it suggests about power dynamics in Hollywood. Despite intense scrutiny, DiCaprio keeps much of his private life guarded. With a career spanning decades and a fortune estimated around $300 million, he remains unmarried and without children. His story reflects a tension between public achievement and personal fulfillment, highlighting the challenge of balancing global influence, private identity, and lasting happiness. Leonardo DiCaprio's journey reveals that success alone cannot fill the void left by human need for connection and acceptance. If his life teaches us anything, it's that behind every legendary figure is a person still searching, still imperfect, still profoundly human. If his story moved you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that peel back the curtain on fame and reveal the complexities beneath. And make sure to stick around for the next video. There's another powerful tale waiting just for you.